this is Michael Diamond, and I'm here once again with Ricky T. Anthony, and you're watching Muscle Central. This is our second installment of our show, Bodybuilding Battlefield, where Ricky and I take a topic where we have opposing points of view, and we're going to battle it out for your pleasure. Ricky, would you like to introduce today's topic?
Yes, sir, I would. Thank you for that introduction. And I just got to say that I always win these. I won the first one. Just look at it. But in either case, what we're talking about today is mass versus class, classic physique versus the open class. Will classic physique overtake and be more dominant?
And will it?
And my view on it is an emphatic yes. Now,
mail me some whatever you was. Mail me with some whatever you've been smoking, all right?
I'll bring it to you personally.
Okay. Tell me why. Tell me why.
Okay, so allow me to state my case. What I'm seeing is a resurgence of the mid-'80s to mid-'90s in a slightly different form. During that period, 84, 85 to around 95, 97, what you saw was an open class where smaller guys like Sean Ray, Lee Labrada, etc., were competitive against the Dorian Yateses and all these other guys, Lee Haney's. And they, with the exception of the Olympia, kicked their asses in many, many, many shows. Even if they placed second or third in the Olympia against a lot of mass monsters, they kicked mass monsters' ass. And the public liked it. Now what you're seeing, so what happened is the mass monsters took over, and then to appease the public, they brought in these guys with the board shorts. All right, all respect to the board shorts guys, not a fan, but all respect, your athletes. Yes, I'll give you that. That didn't really take off so much. Now you found something sliced right down the middle that everybody likes. That's more marketable to the public. That are magazine coverage, that are photo opish, that everybody can like. That you can get endorsements from supplement companies, clothing companies, everything coming in, the money coming into the sport. And the fans are going to clamor to see more guys like Breon Ansley, like George Peterson, and these other guys. And I think that they will, give them about 5 to 7 years, they will overtake the open class, period.
Well, so in other words, in a few years down the line, we should expect to see for the main event the classic physique instead of the open. Is that what you're telling me?
Why not?
Well, I like the classic physique. I think they got the great bodies. There's no doubt about it. But whether they're gonna surpass the freaks, you take Little League baseball for example. You go to a Little League game, the audience is going to be filled with the parents, other relatives, and the friends of the family and everything. But you're not going to get many people to come in and pay for the game, but they're going to come in and pay for the big boys. Everybody likes a freak, and the classic physique is going to have its place. But to think that it can overcome the mass monsters, I think that's you're asking a little too much there. People want to see the envelope being pushed. It's now once you got these guys smacking these home runs left and right in the major leagues. Yeah, they're supposedly being tested now, but the drugs are still there. Once you get to a certain point, people don't want to go back to where it was. It's reached a certain level of bodybuilding. There's still going to be a market for the classic physique, and it's going to draw people. It'll definitely draw crowds, but they want those mass monsters. And let me tell you something: when you go to the expos before the big shows, and if you're going to set up Breon Ansley at a booth and set up Big Ramy or Oli Winkler at a booth, whose lines are going to be longer? People are going to get online to see the freak. Do you have some
Give it time.
people on the Brian Ansley line, on a Arash Rabar line, on the George Peterson line, but they're not going to match the Ruley Winkler line. That's
Give
just a
it time.
fact.
It's new. Give it time. Now let me go back to your analogy with the baseball. Okay, I'll take that, but one better is a boxing analogy. The heavyweights were supposed to be the kings of the ring. Everybody loves the heavyweights. They were killing it in the early days. All of a sudden, there was a drought. Who stepped up? The light heavyweights, the middleweights, and the welterweights. And they started gaining all of the money until Mike Tyson came and brought the heavyweights back. Heavyweights have been teetering, but still, the solid income is
Okay.
from middleweights and welterweights. So getting with bodybuilding, not everyone likes a freak. Not everyone likes a freak. I had a personal conversation with one of the guys in Classic Physique, and he said that his former trainer was pushing his physique where he did not want it to go, where he did not like. He didn't like the way he looked. He wanted to be
You know,
a mass monster. And now he is a perennial Olympia contender in Classic Physiques when he decided to go Classic Physique.
okay, you use the boxing
Not everyone likes
analogy.
a freak.
Use the boxing analogy with the heavyweights, and now people are being drawn to the smaller guys. The thing with the heavyweights, well, I was a big boxing fan. I haven't followed it much in recent years, but up until the '90s, from the early, I have a library of videotapes of fights from beginning of the 19th, from the early 1900s up until the 90s, and then I started losing a little interest in it. But the thing with the heavyweights were they were exciting because you saw the knockouts. But what happened was, as the years passed on by, you saw the lighter weight guys were providing the excitement that people want the excitement, and they were blasting their opponents out. You were getting exciting knockouts. People were going for the action, for the knockout. And and in bodybuilding, where you're gonna get the knockout? With the big boys, with the mass monsters in the open class. You're not gonna get that with the classic physique. It's gonna be it's more of a chess match. Whereas
Okay,
the open
and I
class,
love a good chess match.
the open class is going to be a George Foreman, Ron Lyle, Pier 6 brawl, as opposed to a chess match in the classic physique. And people
Okay,
want to see those two monsters battling out. They want to see the big monsters on stage battling out. They'll sit in the audience
okay.
and they'll watch the classic physique because the guys have great bodies, and it's obvious that they put the work in the gym, but they want the knockout.
Now, okay, now you being a a bodybuilding historian and boxing historian like myself, let's go back to some of the greatest champions we have had coming up in the 80s. Lee Labrada, a middleweight, won the overall, got his pro card. Rich Gaspari, a light heavyweight, who tried as a heavyweight, but he was better as a light heavy, won his pro card by winning the overall. And Sean Ray, another one. And he beat, what's this guy's name? Phil Hill. He beat Phil Hill for the overall. Phil Hill was huge. Vince Comerford, another one, a middleweight. And you can go on and on and on and on and on with these guys. A lot of them won their pro cards as light heavies or middleweights. And then as pros moved up. But even as they moved up as pros, they were a little smaller and they still had those lines. A
Okay.
la Flex Wheeler.
You mentioned Lee Labrada, and we talked about this in a previous video. I think it was I think it was the last bodybuilding battlefield. Lee Labrada, you put him side by side next to Lee Haney. If you brought him up proportionally wise, or made him taller and proportionally wise, larger all around, physique wise, I think Labrada has Haney, and if he was Haney's height and proportionally bigger, I think he would have beaten Haney. But why did Lee Haney beat Labrada? Because he was, all things being equal, the bigger guy wins. He knocked him out. The mass, although Lee Haney was not as massive as the guys are now, he was more massive than the guys that he was going against in his era. And the mass
Agreed,
knocked out
but at least,
the classical
but at
lines.
least in the context of our argument, at least the little guys had a fighting chance. Look at Lee Haney's first win. Who placed second to him in '84? Muhammad Makaway, who was 5'1", barely 180 pounds. And he beat guys who were 200 and some pounds all the way up to Lee Haney's size, who he placed second to Lee Haney. Lee Labrada did the same thing. And the fans, and look, one of the most magazine covers of all times, while Lee Haney was reigning Mr. Olympia, was Sean Ray. Facts, man.
All things being,
I think there's going to be a resurgence of that class. We're going to come back to it.
all things being equal, but using these analogies, but what it comes down to is, all things being equal, the bigger guy is going to win. That's just what it comes down to. All things being equal, and that goes with any, you go back to boxing. Muhammad Ali liked to tout himself as being the greatest, but also if you talk to him in interviews, he'd also acknowledge that he would say that I was the greatest heavyweight, but he acknowledged Sugar Ray Robinson as being the greatest fighter,
Agreed.
pound for pound. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson
Agreed.
also acknowledged the fact that no matter how great he was, if he could, even though he was the greatest pound for pound, it's very unlikely if he would have stepped in the ring with Muhammad Ali, he could have beaten Muhammad Ali. And in Robinson's case, just to divert away from bodybuilding a little bit, I think Muhammad Ali, his greatest asset was his conditioning and his chin. As far as technique-wise, he was limited. He had a jab, a good cross, an occasional hook, and an occasional uppercut. Robinson was a much more complete fighter. But no matter how great a fighter Robinson was, there's no way he would be able to beat Muhammad Ali because it's the size that's going to make the difference. So it's basically the same thing with the bodybuilding. All things being equal, the bigger guy is going to win. People want that knockout and openers in the ring now.
On that. Let me throw a little sauce on what you just said. Because let's use Manny Pacquiao. Again, excuse us, it's a bodybuilding program, but we're using analogies here. Manny Pacquiao was a natural 118-pound fighter that worked his way up so naturally. Every fighter he ever fought in the 120s, 130s, 140s, all the way up to 154, when he admittedly topped out at 148 to beat these guys because he wanted to maintain some speed. He was a naturally smaller guy. But be that as it may, back to bodybuilding, people like seeing the symmetry. They like seeing the class. They like seeing the fluidity of the physiques. They're tired of seeing the bubble guts. They're tired of all that BS.
He had the frame. In his case, he had the frame to move up in weight classes and still be strong, highly competitive. Dexter Jackson started as a band. He wasn't even a lightweight when he started. He started as a bantamweight. He's 100 pounds heavier, and he's knocking out the
big guy.
And he's still not. But he's not as. But let me tell you something. Dexter Jackson steps up on stage, 245 pounds, ripped. Let me tell you something. I don't care what you say. 245 pounds ripped is not small. Let me tell you something. I competed for 4 years in the NPC, and I competed in Weinberger and Beth Francis shows. The Atlantic States and the Eastern USA. They were both being held at the BMCC at the time. Borough Manhattan Community College. And a lot of the big names always pop up to either guest pose or just come there to be in
Right.
the audience out of respect for Bev and Steve. I'm standing out there one day. I'm waiting for the evening show to start to go in and prepare, and I see this short black guy walking up, and I'm looking at him, and he looks freaking massive. He's great conditioning, and he's looking freaking massive. I'm saying, damn, that guy looks familiar. I can't quite place him. Who the freak is that guy? Then I'm inside just before I'm getting ready to go back into the pump room and get ready. And now I'm 5 feet away from the guy, and I realize who this guy is. It's Dexter Jackson. You know what? He's not so small. You know, again, it was off season, and he carries a little bit more weight off season than he does contest time, but he's always in shape. He's never far off from contest conditioning. This guy he was freaking massive. And I couldn't, when I got up close, and I said, holy shit, that's Dexter Jackson. When I realized it was Dexter Jackson, I'm like, wow. He looks small next to some of these guys on stage. Yeah, some of these guys are 270 pounds, so you're going to look a little smaller. But in reality, a 5'7", 5'8" person, 245 pounds, ripped to shreds, is not small by any means. So Dexter Jackson is a good analogy. He had the frame to be able to hold more size, and he slowly put it on. The big guys are what the people want to see. You're not gonna be able to, if with the classic physique, as entertaining as it is, as nice as it is to watch, as them as the main event, you are not going to draw the same fans. You're not going to have you're never ever going to have the lines at the expo like you have for the freaks. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, all right. Well, I will close with this. You love the Avengers. Everybody has their pick. Some love the Hulk, some love Thor, some love Captain America. Same thing with bodybuilding.
The Hulk.
Like, who's the biggest, most massive guy out there right now? Big Ramy. He's going to have his fans. I'm a fan because I think with his size and his shape that he brings with his size, it is miraculous what his genetics has him do. But who do I prefer to him is a guy like a Sean Roden that has more classic lines. So now, with that said, there are going to be those that freak. We want the big guys. But there are going to be some that are like, you know what? I like these guys better. And I'm going to stand by it by 2025, which is about 7 years, when all these people start defecting from the higher weight class to come down, and low and the regular physique to come up, and they start spreading out and they see the wealth of talent at that division. Guess what? Their prize money is going to go up, their popularity is going to go up, and they're going to overtake the open class. I'm done.
But you know, one of the arguments for classic physique is that it's healthier. Let me enlighten you. I guarantee you, these classic physique guys are using the same drugs as the open guys. There's not much of a difference in the drug use.
Just like the regular physique guys. We know the physique guys are drugged up as well. Everybody knows that.
It's so like I said, one of the arguments for classic physique is that it's a healthier alternative, and which is totally bogus. There's no healthier. First off, even if a drug-free competitor, you're competing in a drug-free organization, a drug-free competitor. If you do your preparation right to come in bone-dry conditioning, that's not healthy anyway. Bringing the body fat levels down to low single digits dehydrating yourself. You think that's healthy? So it's really
True.
nothing that healthy about bodybuilding competition, and this misconception that, well, the smaller guys and they're using less drugs, so it's more healthy.
Well,
That's a bunch of bullshit
but
also.
okay, so since you opened that Pandora's box, a few of the guys that downsized did say that they use less drugs and don't have to use it for as long periods as they did when they were in the open class. Also, like one of your favorite bodybuilders, Kevin Lavroni, who would go completely off at times not and not even lift weights for months. That's why his system was able to rejuvenate so much.
Well,
And many guys in the 80s were the same way. So and now with this chemical warfare going on where guys stay on it like for like 11 months out the year and come off for 1 month,
you know
that's
what?
not look, if you go for like 3-4 months and can come off for about 2 or 3 and then go back on, we have to admit that it is healthier than being on there 9, 10, 11 months and coming off for
Well,
one,
you
two
know what?
weeks.
First off, most of these guys are using more drugs, even with the big boys. Not all of them, but a lot of them are using more drugs than they need to for the same results. You heard the expression, the least effective dose, right? Use the
Yes.
smallest amount to get the greatest effect. Let me tell you something. Excuse me a second. You know, I
While
used
you're
to
while you're doing that,
use.
this is my secret glasses screwdriver. I'm gonna shoot up right now.
Okay.
All right.
You
Okay, let's go.
have on the forums and on these groups on Facebook and other social medias, people screaming about this. For instance, Lee Priest, crazy cycles that Lee Priest used, crazy cycles that Dorian Yates used. But let me tell you something. Both those guys, for example, were very open about their drug use. Never denied it and very open about
Yes.
it. So let me tell you, hold on a second. Where I'm going with this is I would see no reason for them to lie on about what they were taking. How all these people on social media know what they're taking? Come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
These guys weren't taking massive dosages like some people were claiming they were. And the truth is, first off, everybody responds differently. Some people respond to a much smaller dose. Some people need a little higher dose.
Mhm.
Some people need a little higher than that in their dosage. But not all these
And then
guys,
some people's genetics are shit, but they take tons of it.
yeah, not all these guys that are huge mass monsters are using crazy cycles. Lee Priest
Exactly.
Elite Priest had to be one of the most honest people you ran into in the bodybuilding world. He just told you straight out what the deal was. And I don't think he lied about his cycles. He wasn't using no crazy cycles, but at 5'5", look how freaky 5'4". The guy was freak.
Yeah.
A massive freak. His body responded. So these guys they're not all using crazy amounts. So going back to my
Right.
point that they're all using the drugs and they're probably using the classic physique guys are probably using the same amounts or roughly the same dosages as the mass monsters. I think it's more in the style. The drugs play a role, of course, but the difference in size is more in the style of training and the actual amount of food that they're eating, which really is making a difference. So as far as being a healthier alternative for competitors, that's bullshit also.
All right. So let's tie this up and put a
Okay.
bow on it. So you don't see in 5 to 7 years classic physique taking the shine away from the open.
No, they'll grow. It'll definitely grow. They'll be able to hold shows without any open competitors and only classic physique, and they'll draw a crowd. But when it comes to the big shows, there's no way without the big boys as the main event. Are they gonna be able to draw the same crowds? It's just not gonna happen. The
Okay.
the people the ones that are coming, the ones that are paying to see the classic physique, I think my analogy with the little league, it fits in pretty well. It's the parents, the friends of the family, and the other relatives that are coming to see the little leagues, the little league players. But
Well, give it time.
you want paid people to pay to get their butts in a seat to watch the show. You're gonna have to get something freaky on stage to get people, the average bodybuilding fan, to pay big money to put his butt in a seat.
Okay. Okay. Well, all I say, give it time. Mark my words.
Okay,
By 2025, we will see. We will see.
let's try to wrap this up. Uh,
Yes, sir.
This is Michael Diamond and Ricky T. Anthony from Muscle Central. We just had a heated debate on classic physique versus open bodybuilding. Ricky T. Anthony thinks that classic physique is going to surpass open bodybuilding in a number of years down the line. While I think it'll grow and it'll still draw people on its own, it can never surpass the big boys. Everybody wants to see a freak. If you like this video and you want to see more, please click like, share, and by all means subscribe. Also, I would like you to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. If you go into the description box at the bottom of the video, you can find links to both Muscle Central Facebook and Muscle Central Twitter. And once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Michael Diamond, Ricky T. Anthony, Muscle Central, signing out. Good night. That's a wrap.
I think it was good.
Yeah, I think it went good.
It was good.
I have no. Once I edited out the beginning, I have no idea how long it went. I'm gonna go. Let me turn this video off first. Hold on a second.
I think we got about 35. I think.
It's so loud. When I have to do something, I do it. I always do it, Billy. Everything I've always done is